Welcome to the stage, the Eat Sleep Code Show. Syntax tight, our semicolons in a row. With the AI beats and the database flow. Grab your gear, hit compile and let's go. We're breaking walls in our virtual chateau. With every line we write, our universe will grow. Welcome to the grid where the brave dare to code. Eat, sleep, code. Let the systems overload. Sending signals in the neon afterglow.
All right. It's the AI intro that
Yes.
everybody knows, loves, and wants more of.
Sure.
It's time for Eat Sleep Code, the Teller podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbonneau, and with me is my co-host, John Bristow. How are you doing in the land down under, John?
I'm okay. My lights aren't working. I've got one, so I've got the silhouette thing going. I apologize for that. Other than that, I'm fine.
I mean, I always feel like I'm being kept in the dark.
All right. That's enough. Off to a great start.
John, what does John hate today? His lights.
It's hardware.
Start
I
with
can't
that one.
I can't deal with hardware as well. Hardware always seems to
you-
have a problem for me.
Can't debug it.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's like this. It seems very strange. So, yeah, for whatever reason. So,
Maybe your light got owned. Did it get owned in a hack?
I should probably ask Troy if it did get pwned.
Closer to the edge, hyperscaling. Have I been pwned with Cloudflare workers and caching? What are we talking about here, John?
Yeah, so Troy Hunt, very well known in obviously tech and community security circles. He runs the site Have I Been Pwned, which you can go and check to see whether your email addresses, etc., have been compromised either on various locations. And it's a very well respected, super useful service. I hate getting emails from it because it means my credentials have been leaked somewhere on maybe the dark web or whatever. Anyways, if you're not using it, you should definitely sign up. Anyways, so Troy has a really good technical background. He's really cares about the solution that he and Charlotte maintained. And Charlotte's his wife, by the way. They both run Have I Been Pwned? And they spend a lot of time curating. It's like watching a gardener weeding, etc. Like they care about every little nuance, etc. So Troy does a lot of technical writing. He talks a lot about the underpinnings of Have I Been Pwned. Have I Been Pwned is a really wonderful service because it stands up to all sorts of traffic. It gets featured by TV shows, etc. And when that happens, you see these huge spikes in usage. Anyways, Troy is a heavy user of Cloudflare. So they provide a lot of caching and not hosting, but a lot of caching capabilities that fronts the site itself. It's built entirely with a variety of technologies, but namely Azure, etc. So anyways, this is a post that Troy, one of many that Troy has written about the underpinnings of Have I Been Pwned, entitled Closer to the Edge, Hyperscaling Have I Been Pwned with Cloudflare Workers and Caching. And so basically the summary of this is that Troy's been able to achieve like massive scale, and he's able to handle like 10 billion requests monthly, which is insane. And so what he does is he does this sort of edge casting with Cloudflare. So Cloudflare provides all sorts of capabilities. If you're running a highly utilized site, this is beyond the 7 people that check my blog, So Cloudflare has like 330 like edge nodes around the world. And so that means when a user request comes in, it gets routed basically to something that's really close. This reduces latency. This provides availability, etc. And so Cloudflare uses I think it's like K anonymity model, where only the first 6 characters of the SHA-1 hash of an email address are used. And that allows you to do things like possible hash prefixes, etc. So there's lots and lots of stuff that goes into it. Anyways, Cloudflare Workers are a facility that allows you to handle the requests at the edge. So if you have tasks to perform, etc., things like hashing, things that are computationally expensive to do on one machine. So checking caches, generating hashes, fetching the original, like the origin if necessary. What this does, it basically reduces the dependency on the origin server, and that reduces your overall cost, which is great. Anyways, this blog posting goes into great detail about what Troy is doing for these things. So he's getting huge efficiency wins, huge performance optimization. And if you're all interested in doing this, if you've got performance and scalability problems, Troy is a good person to reference because his blog posts are great.
Yeah, it's a lot of security minded stuff there. And again, check and make sure you haven't been pwned. Make sure your email's not on that list. It's a really good resource that's out there for that type of thing. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about AI and the efficiency of saying please and thank you. Do you say please and thank you to your chatbots, John?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Well, you're costing them millions of dollars.
I know. I'm sorry. I feel shame.
So saying please and thank you, these are like the opposite of a microaggression, but they micro increment. It's like spending pennies, and when you do that large scale with lots of billions of requests that are being fielded by OpenAI, this is actually costing millions of dollars, tens of millions.
It's the
of
reverse
dollars.
Superman 2 model, where Richard Pryor's character steals like a half penny off of every check. It's the reverse of that.
Yeah, I should have looked up the meme. There's like a pretty good cartoon that has it's like a couple panels, and it's like panel one is like the Terminator's like taking over the world, and like at the end there's like spare him, and then it goes back in time to show why, and like this is the user that's saying please and thank you to the chatbots. So it just kind of reminded me of that, and this is very topical because I wrote an article I talked about on the show last week, but I figured I'd hit it up one more time. You can check this stuff if you're building your own chatbots or just AI services, whatever, and if you're building prompts or you're entering data into a prompt, you can build a token visualizer. And what that token visualizer will do is it'll break down kind of the guesstimated cost of what your prompt is going to be as far as tokens go, because usually these services cost you in tokens. So you can tell how many tokens you're spending on a given prompt, and then you can go through your prompt and weed through non-important terms, kind of refactor your prompt a little bit. Take out pleases and thank yous, white spaces, things that really don't pertain to giving the model context to perform whatever the task was. And you can either do that through a count, or you can visualize it with some colorization and things. This will help you kind of get an idea of where you can fine-tune some of those things. So check that one out at blogs.telerik.com. It's still up on the main page.
I was just thinking, you're asking us to write terse prompts. So I think of that scene out of Madagascar where the guy's like, don't give me excuses, give me results. And he starts slapping the guy. And that's how I'm going to treat my AI to save money. For the benefit of saving money, I will now treat my AI very tersely.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of tools get built around is prompt engineering and like fine-tuning prompts and refactoring. So we have all of these things for coding, or maybe I'm not aware of them. Feel free to drop them in chat if you got a good resource for fine-tuning prompts and what's the is it ReSharper I'm thinking of? Like, is there a ReSharper of prompting? Like, one of the tools that I use is the actual AI itself. Like, you can ask it to help you build and fine-tune prompts, but that in itself isn't always perfect.
No.
Actually, that's
you can
actually
set up the parameters
segue
ahead of time, and you can sorry for interrupting. You can also give it instructions like, hey, I want you and I to go back and forth with a series of questions before proceeding on work.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue into this article here. Company apologizes after AI support agent invents policy that causes uproar. So this was Cursor actually. And I guess when you hit their email support, there's an AI that kind of buckets things and responds, try triage before a human sees them. And the AI was creating a false policy that didn't exist. It just kind of hallucinated this policy based on whatever the email was that the user sent in. And this upset somebody enough to have them post it on Reddit. And they're like, I'm trying to remember the context here, but it was something like they were trying to log into the same Cursor session from multiple machines to work on a project. So you've got like your desktop, and then you got like prod, and maybe like a testing server or something. Maybe you're working on all the code on all three of those machines, and they wanted the same Cursor session across all three of those instances. And there was actually a bug that was causing like the sessions to get logged out when you moved from machine to machine and not like bring the session over. And the default response from the bot was, well, it's against our policy to do this. And you have to have a separate Cursor account for each of those machines if you want to continue to use it that way, which of course is going to cost you more money, right? It's like whatever the license is. I don't remember off the top of my head these days, but you say you're spending $100, now that's $300. You got three machines you're working on the same project across. So they posted on Reddit, it went viral, and Cursor started getting people canceling subscriptions. So make a long story short, they emailed people and said this was a mistake, and this is because of our AI triage agent that is sending out these responses. It hallucinated an entire policy that does not exist.
Yeah, it's the classic fake it till you make it sort of thing. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah, this happens from time to time. AIs will hallucinate, and that is usually an indication of gaps in your training data or overconfidence bias, etc. So yeah, it sounds like they needed to fine tune one aspect of it. So
I think this is actually really a problem. Like, I think it's a little more prevalent than you might be leading on to, John. I've had this pretty frequently lately.
Okay.
It's probably more that I'm using more AI services, that I'm seeing it more often. It's not like they just magically started all not working at the same time, but I've been using them more, hence I see more problems. But I've had things being completely fabricated. So the other day I was working in a library that was in Python. I don't know Python, and I'm like, I'd rather do this in .NET. So I said, how do I do this in .NET? And it completely just made up an API that did not exist. It basically like translated the Python API like surface into a .NET one. It's like, install this package, which doesn't exist. Use this API call, and it's like, it's almost verbatim like what's in Python, but it's .NET style. So it like, just copy the style of .NET and figured, okay, that'll work. So like I had that happen. One of them, I think I said this one before, but I've seen others kind of repeat this style of problem, where I had a Canvas animation that I was trying to see if I don't know Canvas that well. So I was like, all right, where can I make this Canvas animation more efficient? Because I'm sure there's things I'm not doing right. And it deleted my animation loop. Like, it took the repeating part out of it, so you get one frame instead of 60.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, that makes it more efficient. Yes, it's only drawing one frame now, but that's not an animation anymore. So I saw somebody else say something similar, like they created this React component, and they said, help me make it more efficient, and it like it deleted it. It deleted the whole component. It's like, all right, yeah, I guess that's more efficient. If it doesn't exist, it's faster. So these things are happening. Something to be expected. Like, keep your eye out for it. So What I was saying to start all this though is I use the AI to help me generate prompts for
Yep.
AI. So it's kind of
Yep.
like this self-feeding, loop back type of thing. But you also have to be careful of this stuff because it can start hallucinating on top of it, and
Sure.
then you're kind of defeating the purpose of what you were trying to do. So yeah, that's the reality of what we're working with these days. What have you run into, John? Anything like that?
Yeah. Not always. I have to remind myself, like, it's not lying on purpose. It's doing,
Yeah.
it's kind of like autocomplete on steroids. So,
Mhm.
I have to kind of be, I'm very patient with it, to be honest. I normally get frustrated with software. Imagine that, me being upset. Um, but that's because there's a human behind that. With AI, it's just a program, so it's doing the best it can. So it's weird. I have empathy for software. So, but no, I haven't really been caught out too much. There are times when you read it, your head tilts the left or right. You're like, oh, that's not right, and so you have to correct it. So you do call it out. What I do is I work with the prompt and say, actually. I'm like, actually, I just put the statement in here. Or what I'll do is I'll find a reference online, copy and paste the URL into the prompt, and it will say, oh, thank you for this. I've updated. It will say memory updated because I use ChatGPT. It will say memory updated and say, thank you for sending me this. Yes, you're correct. This is not right. So I use AI for a bunch of things to do around the house. So I ask it questions like, how do I redo this, or how do I fix that? And if it gives me weird advice that doesn't feel right, I'll go online, search for stuff, and then I'll coalesce it into a whole bunch of stuff. So I generate a ton of data in the prompt itself, and then I ask it to summarize everything, and then it comes up with a final answer. I usually get a good answer at the end.
Yeah, another one of the hallucination style things I ran into just today was it will so if it doesn't find an answer on the first try, sometimes it will assume that that answer does not exist, and
Okay.
it'll be convinced at that point that that thing does not exist. So I'm working with some CSS, and I said, apply these CSS classes. I know they're in this file somewhere, and it's like, yeah, I didn't find those CSS classes. You can open your console in the browser and see what they might be. They're like, no, I'm pretty sure they're there, and it's like, no, they're not. Like, hmm. So like I specified one like very specific like the selector for it, and I was like, is this CSS selector in the CSS file? And then it was like, oh yeah, there it is, and then it started working. It's like, all right, you got to lead them on sometimes. So
Yes,
it's a very strange space to work in right now.
it is.
Open Silver 3.2 brings WPF apps to Android, iOS, and beyond with Maui Hybrid. Is this a? I'm not familiar with Open Silver. Is this a Silverlight like legacy remake or something?
Yeah, so this one I hadn't heard of before, and so I was kind of curious when I saw this. It kind of came up through my blogs, etc. So it's an open source replacement for Silverlight. I know if people are, don't hurt yourself rolling the eyes into the back of your head. But there are folks out there that love that model, obviously, and so allows you to build obviously cross-platform apps using .NET technology, C Sharp, YAML, uh, and .NET, and it all does it within the web browser, thanks to WASM WebAssembly. And so, if you're at all curious, you can check it out. So this is a blog post that kind of talks a little bit about what's new in 3.2. So if you're at all interested, you can check it out. I hadn't hit my radar, so I was just curious to find out more about it. So I thought I'd throw it in here.
I feel like I've heard that before, but yeah, Silverlight is definitely a fan following. Let's put it
Yes,
that way.
yes,
And people that have written apps with it love it and miss it. Kind of like Windows Phone users, right?
yeah.
We want it back. So it's kind of cool if, especially if you're trying to take an app that already exists and update it. Maybe you still have a Silverlight app somehow. Is that still something that works? Do they still
I
work?
haven't seen anything like that. I do realize that I said YAML previously. I meant
Oh,
I didn't mean
XAML.
YAML.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah,
catch it.
XAML. Sorry, YAML, XAML. Sorry. I've been saying YAML too much. But yeah, it's I haven't seen a Silverlight app in a long time, a long, long time.
Beyond HTTP, introducing incrementalist and incremental .NET builds for large solutions.
Yeah, so Incrementalist, this is a new build tool. It's a .NET build tool that I hadn't heard of as well. Again, it's something that kind of I just happened to stumble upon it. It's from Petabridge, which produces a bunch of stuff, including Akka.net. And so this is basically an open source tool. So it's a command line tool, allows you to analyze Git changes and project dependencies to determine I guess a minimal set of .NET projects requiring for rebuild or retesting. And so rebuilding or incremental builds is really nice because it makes your build times a lot less. It really shrinks them down. And this is especially true for large solutions or monorepos. So the monolith or monorepo is a very popular sort of approach. It's the antithesis of breaking everything up into different chunks so that you have one massive project in a sense. And that tends to happen if you have a lot of interdependencies and you need to get a control over how things kind of work. And so if you're looking to minimize the build times for this, you can check it out. I had not heard of this. This just came across my reading there. So I thought I'd just mention it here in case someone is at all interested in utilizing an incremental build tool for .NET.
Yeah, interesting. Like, there's all sorts of build tools for JavaScript and that ecosystem.
Yeah.
But you don't really hear about .NET ones that often. It's usually like part of the framework, part of the packaging that goes along with it, and it's not something we swap out very often. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it integrates with the .NET CLI, obviously. So there's a .NET tool subsystem for the CLI, and you just run .NET incrementalist. And to your point, there's lots of tools on the other side of the coin there, which is Java. But this is something that you can run, and you point it to a config file, and then it just goes and incrementally builds over time.
King of COD says he's got a mono repo in .NET right now, so it might be something worth checking out.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with mono repos. I know that some people are like, ugh, mono repos, get it out of here. But there are some things to be said about it.
So if you haven't heard the word AI enough, especially from me and John, and all of the internet and every social media feed that's out there, then attend Microsoft Build, because I'm sure they will cover AI in some way, shape, or form, if not 100 times an hour. But it should be fun and interesting to see what Microsoft is building, so check out Microsoft Build. It is coming May 19th through the 22nd. They have been simulcasting this since 2020. So I imagine you could catch most of this online. And if you happen to be in the Seattle area, you could come in person and check it out there as well. Want to do a meet and greet with some folks. It's always fun to see some of the .NET team and Microsoft folks up there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they're going to talk about in the way of AI, Copilot agents, etc. It looks like they got a lot of their sessions already listed out here.
I might
so
come up with a bingo card for the keynote.
Yeah. I think we should do that. We should just have AI build one.
Live stream. With live stream, we'll co-live stream the keynote, and we'll do a bingo card and commentary. How about that?
We'll vibe code a bingo card.
Vibe watch. Yeah, that's right. Be a live reaction to the keynote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have it scrape the website and build out the bingo card.
Sure.
Using
That's
AI.
what I was thinking. Yep.
It's good use of my time. .NET 10 is preview 3 and available now. I'm sure they'll talk about .NET at Microsoft Build as well. So if you haven't caught up on .NET 10 preview, there's quite a lot going on. I saw a lot of people tweeting about the new C Sharp functionality. Have you seen some of this, John?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of language updates that are coming as well. They're incremental. It's kind of hard to keep track of because we're seeing preview 1, preview 2, which we talked about just 2 shows ago, and now preview 3 on the C side, on the C sharp front. It's kind of also hard to track because they kind of get intermixed or interwoven with product features around Aspire or ASP.NET Core. Was there anything in particular that you were thinking of?
Yeah, I pulled up the .NET or the C Sharp 13. Is it 13?
Yep,
Let me look back again. It was
I
C
believe it is.
Sharp.
Yep.
It's either 13 or 14. 14. So in current C Sharp and 13 or below, you have the concept of an extension method, which is like one of my favorite parts of C Sharp programming is being able to write extension methods and come up with really cool like APIs and chains and all of that stuff. But currently it's kind of limited. Like you can have an extension method and that's pretty much it. It's a method. And the way you do that is with the this keyword as an argument, and it has to be in a public static class, and it has to be a static method, right? So what they're adding to C Sharp is an actual extension keyword that's going to not only simplify it, but I think it allows you to do other types of extensions as well. So it doesn't just act as a method, but you can extend like properties and things as well. So you can have an extension property on top of a class. So, think person, you have like first name, last name. You could write extension property to add like a middle name or something to it. So there's extensions in there. Another null conditional assignment operator.
Can I tell you my
Yes,
favorite feature of preview 3? It's not C Sharp related. I apologize. So it is a context switch. But there's there was one thing that I saw that really got my attention, which is the interactive option of the CLI. So under CLI, the SDK and CLI enhancements section, they have this flag which has been around for a bit. It's the -- interactive flag. Now, what's interesting about this is it will be enabled on by default and will allow you to interact with the CLI for user prompts. Typically with CLIs, this frustrates me to no end. If you don't get the command line prompts right, or you just run the tool without any prompts, there are some CLIs that you'll use where they just drop on the floor and are like, error, missing this, error, missing that. And it's like, dude, just go with me. Like, do the AI thing. Go back and forth with me and ask me questions. And for the longest time, AI CLIs have not done this, but there's a trend, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because we did the same thing at Octopus Deploy. We created a new CLI where if you don't give it everything it needs to get started, it says, oh, you clearly are a human because you've typed this wrong. We won't go through an automation mode. We won't assume we're running this on a system, but I'll start asking you questions like, hey, I need more information in order to help you. And so the interactive mode now allows you to, like, an example of this is if you use the .NET CLI for asking for like a feed and you need to provide creds, it will ask you now for interaction. It will say, hey, you need to provide me with creds in order to get access to this NuGet feed over here, for example. And so what this interactive mode option now does is it will actually ask you questions along the way, which is great. It can go a lot further. So on the Octopus Deploy does this with our new CLI. If you run a command with our CLI and you give it no options whatsoever, we'll ask questions like, okay, what project, what space, what thing you want to do, and we go through question answer, and we'll give you options and hints along the way. We'll probe the remote thing that you were talking to and say, hey, these are the projects I know about. Do you want one of these? And you can use arrow keys to select them. So we do all kinds of things in interactive mode. It's a really cool feature, and I think it's something that more CLIs should do. So I'm really happy about this feature being added.
That's cool. I wonder if somebody could build a nice screen that you could click on top of that.
So a terminal. It's like a terminal, Ed, like in the 80s.
Like graphics, like add graphics, and like maybe a pointer.
This
and that'd be awesome.
This exists in other frameworks outside of .NET, and I'm a big advocate There's a framework called Charm, which is very popular in the Go community. And if you go to Charm SH, that's the website that does this, they have a library that allows you to do this. And they are promoting this idea of terminals. They have a library called Bubble Tea that does this. And Charm is extremely, extremely powerful because it allows you to build these circa 1981 terminal applications. Super powerful. I think terminal interfaces, or TUIs as opposed to CLIs, are still have a place. A lot of people want to fire up a command line. They want to be able to use some interaction there. So I think what you're going to see is a lot of CLIs move in this direction. Sorry, that's an aside topic, but there you go.
Yeah, I wonder if some of this interactive mode is being inspired by like AI chat services, or planning maybe interfacing with them. Like, I don't know if we want to let our AI's tool call into our command lines, but
This
there's
is
some
already
interesting
happening.
stuff
I
out
hate
there.
to,
Yeah.
Ed, I hate to do this to you, but this has already happened. And people are doing this today. AI is
Yeah.
finding its way through CLIs. And you're right. That's part of the motivation. But part of the other motivation is, and there's nothing more frustrating than using a CLI for the first time, firing it up as a command. It doesn't give you a man page. It doesn't give you a help prompt. It just drops on the floor, error. That's laziness on the developer's part. They really should kick you into interactive mode. Now, some people might argue, hey, I'm running this as part of a pipeline. Everything's automated. Why would you kick me into interactive mode? Fair enough. You can give it a flag saying this is automation mode, so error by default. But if I'm running this as a user and I want to have a Q&A, whether that's AI or otherwise, then you should give that option. I'm very passionate about
Not
this
at all a
because
security problem.
Come on. I'm very passionate about this. Well, here's the thing. What we do is, sorry, I keep harping on about this, but one of the things that we do is we also, at the end of the dialogue we have with you, we show you the automation prompt. Like, we'll say, hey, by the way, everything you've just done with me in interaction mode, here's the automation prompt that you can run next time that will do this without user prompting. And we'll give you a hard stop, error, seg fault, nothing like that, but you know what I mean. We'll give you a hard stop if it's an error. So there are options.
So taking it from .NET to a little bit of Blazor, this is a
nice transition.
This is community project. Just to clarify, we've moved on from the official preview stuff to community tools. And this is from Jay Sakamoto. He's big in the Blazor space. He does a lot of really cool libraries and things that are up on his GitHub page. And this is another amazing tool from him. And what this is a tool that you run when you're developing apps locally. And maybe it's an app that you didn't build, but somebody passed it off to you. It's a Blazor app. And you're running pages and you want to work on a component. You don't know where that component exists in this massive code base. So this visualizes it in the browser and then helps you navigate to the component that you're viewing on screen. So you highlight it like it's showing here.
I love it.
And it says, this is whatever.razor file. You click on it and then it takes you to the source code. So that is called find Razor source file. And it has a hotkey to enable it when you're debugging. And it is fairly new. There was something blocking it from working a couple weeks ago with the Visual Studio release. And he's
Probably
fixed
.NET
that
9
since.
or something like that.
Yeah, there was something that blocked him. And he had a banner up on here. I kind of put it on the back burner. It said, like, it's currently not working.
Right.
In this release of Visual Studio, give me a couple weeks to fix this, and now it's fixed and up and running. It's in preview, so check that out if you're doing any
Awesome.
Blazor dev, especially if it's
Very
a big
nice.
project and you can't find stuff easy.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. And then I've got some more dev tools here. This is an AI assistant. I know we've got like a lot of these lately. So it's like Copilot, Microsoft Copilot that's baked into Visual Studio and VS Code. Then there's Cursor and Bolt and yada, yada, yada. This is another one. It is being billed as an assistant for large code bases. So it does something in addition to these other ones that helps build some knowledge about the code that's in your actual project. And it's got a really nice UI to it. So it works within your editor. There's a couple of them listed here: Visual Studio, IntelliJ, Vim, etc. And it's got a nice GUI that overlays on top of things and highlights what it's going to be helping you modify. And you could do like the full kind of like Git comparison type of screen as well to check changes in and out of your source code that it's trying to make. So it's another entry into the market. It's interesting to me because I follow some other projects that this kind of I want to say it's a team. I don't know if they're the same team, but they're kind of associated with each other in some way, shape, or form. But I've been using another product of this genre called Bench. It's called bench.io.
Oh, yeah.
It's currently on invite only, but if you find an invite, it's a really nice chat client that competes with things like Copilot and OpenAI's chat interface and stuff. And it does a really excellent job. And it's been one of my favorite tools for doing generative AI stuff. And it's able to do like local RAG, search the web, pull in resources, scrape data, that type of thing. And it's kind of like an all-in-one solution with lots of tool calling and agents and things that you can use by default without having to know anything about how the underlying AI stuff it works and it's underpinned and all of that. So same startup folks, I think, are involved in this Augment Code solution as well. So if those two things are related, this might have some good legs on it. So we'll have to see where this goes. So make sure you
Can't
check
wait for
out.
the tools. I can't wait to see the tools start fighting each other in your IDE. So don't listen to that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
That'd be hilarious. But there's some good UI UX folks behind all this stuff too. So it looks really nice, and it seems like it has some features that some of these other IDEs might not have used yet. And it's extensible as well. So it's got places where you can go in and enter like MCP server information and like bring in other tooling and stuff like that. So give it a look.
Awesome. Nice.
This one is coming from it's almost like right out of Black Mirror. And this one came off my social medias. I thought this was really cool.
Oh,
this is an This is an augmented reality app, and it takes a photo and generates a 3D space where you can kind of walk into the photo in kind of like a 3D diorama.
Yeah.
Which is straight out of the recent Black Mirror episode. So usually these like sci-fi things take a while for us to catch up, and this one is just right on schedule. I thought that was really cool. That's running on a Quest, I believe.
That is cool.
Quest 3. Yeah. It's Quest 3 it's running on. So Quest 3 is a pretty impressive unit. Moving on to some JavaScript, John. I was going to cover this one a few weeks ago, and we had a quick break for whatever reasons. So this is a couple of weeks old, but I thought it was worth a mention still. It's a really cool animation library for JavaScript.
This looks nice.
And the website alone is worth looking at. So as you scroll, it has a scroll observer that's helping trigger animations. It's a gorgeous website. And this one is called animejs.com if you want to visit that. If you Google search AnimeJS, you'll find the creator did a live stream where he recreated the website, like in live coded parts of the website that you're looking at here, because he kept getting requests on like, how did you do this effect? How did you do that? And it's really cool. Like as I scroll, you could see like this animation playing out around this dial, and it's bringing windows in here, and it's showing like different things that it can do. It's got drag interfaces. It's just a really neat visualization and animation library. Real smooth stuff, and
Of course,
just a
I'm gonna
brilliant,
run. I'm gonna
brilliant
run.
piece of artwork.
I'm gonna run web page tests on this thing right now and find out how heavy this thing is. I could obviously
Oh
do it in
yeah,
Chrome, but I'm gonna just take a look.
the animation library itself. It said like I don't know about the entire web page, but the library it's listed on here somewhere. It's pretty lightweight as far as the API goes.
Okay.
So it's doing it through CSS animations and Canvas and stuff. So there, I
Yep.
mean, it's not like an old school animation library from back in the day that's got like a lot of heavy bitmap assets that are being bundled with it or something like that. So it's definitely an interesting one to watch, and it makes some really cool stuff. Oh, there's the um, the video on how he made
Oh,
the
right.
website. Looks like
Nice.
it's coming up in the learn section.
Gotcha.
You can
Yep.
jump on a wait list and sign up for that on animejs.com/learn. So if you want to see how he made all of this, you can check it out there. I may have to tune into that. This just looks really cool. I'd love to geek out to it.
Yeah, it does look good.
And then finally, John, we have one of our favorite topics,
Oh God.
and that is, can it play
There it
Doom?
is. There you go.
It's not Doom, but it's close enough. It's
Super
not
NES.
Doom, but it's close
Awesome.
enough. This is Breakout, authored in C# running on a real Super Nintendo.
Yes.
And the post says that they previously made a post about making Super NES ROMs using C#. And they have recently transpiled a Breakout application or game
Love it.
to
Love it.
SNES and created installed a ROM for it so they could play it on a real Super Nintendo, which I think is absolutely cool that you can do this. I know a friend of
I'm surprised
ours.
the thing didn't melt. Like, it must be running. I know. Finally.
It's Texas finally.
How much would you pay for this? Don't answer. It's like I never wanted this, but okay.
No, what
That's
we
awesome.
need is Silverlight running on
Oh, God.
SNES. That's what we really
Yes.
need, right?
That's the
But I thought this
Franken-build.
was super cool, and this
Yeah.
is something our friend Jimmy Inkstrom would probably appreciate. He's
Oh,
got
yeah,
a Blazer Spectrum Z80 or whatever it's called emulation that's written in .NET. So I'm sure he would find this interesting as well. And you can find this up on Reddit. There's some info on like how they're using
That's hot.
IoT
I
and,
like that.
and doing stuff like that. It's really cool.
He didn't mod the Super NES in any hardware way, right? He just right out of the box sort of thing.
I believe there's got to be something to program the cart. It's got some FX Pack Pro thing jammed in here, so I'm sure
Okay.
there's something to burn ROMs because all of
Oh,
these consoles.
I meant the console itself. Like, he didn't expand
Oh.
the memory or anything like that.
No, I don't believe so. I think it's just a cart that allows you to burn. It has like an SD card on it that lets you burn ROMs onto it. Because the all of these systems have like security keys, so you can't create like
Right.
pirated copies of stuff. But people always found ways to bypass them back in the day, but it made it harder. If you want to know your console history, this is literally what crashed the US video game market in the late 70s and took Atari down. Was somebody broke the security on the Atari, and then everybody that owned a ROM burner started making video games for Atari, and it's kind of like the shovelware that ended up in every app store that's ever been. And you're like, okay, now I don't know what's a good app and what's just going to be trash. So people just stop buying video games altogether. They're like, It's like the Flappy Bird of Atari. Like every game is all of a sudden Flappy Bird, and you're like, I just spent $10 on the next Atari Flappy Bird, and they just stopped buying video games. And it totally took the
Careful, Ed.
market down.
Careful, Ed. You're starting to sound like me now.
This really happened. I'm not joking. That wasn't Flappy Bird, but
No, but
there was like all of these.
Starting to, I'm getting a sense of anger. Like give in to your hate.
Well, it's set us back. It's set gamers back like a generation of software.
Sure.
Like there was all of these clones of like really badly knocked off like Pac-Man and stuff like that. You couldn't go to the store and reliably like buy a video game without finding some of this shovelware stuff and not knowing what you're getting. And it's not like the internet existed back then where you could go get a review on something before you buy it. So, you walk into a local retailer and get money taken from you.
You and I are old enough to remember, but for those who aren't, there was a movie back in the day called E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and there was a game that was rushed to market. It was E.T. the Extraterrestrial for Atari, and there's an urban legend that basically they couldn't sell any copy. It was so broken. I remember playing it.
It's not an urban legend. It's a real thing.
It was, yes, and it was. I'm setting it up, but it's not an urban legend. They are buried in the middle of the desert. They took all the cartridges they couldn't sell and they buried them and then put concrete over top of it. And they were found recently, like in the last few years. And this is obviously the Amazon Prime thing that you're showing. But yeah, I remember playing this. There was this really weird part of the game where his like neck would extend up, because he did it in the game, but like it allowed you to fly, and like you would fly off the screen, and it would
there it is.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, there you go. I played this. My friend bought this. It was so bad. And
it's terrible.
Like we played it. We were like laughing with crying, like yeah, it's not good. So
it makes no sense. Like
anyway,
one of the worst thing was like you'd fall in a pit, and then which is ironic because they all then ended up buried in a pit. But besides that, you'd fall in the pit. You'd use that thing to fly out of the pit, and like there was like this transition from like the front view like 2D thing of the pit that you're inside of, and then when you get out, it would transition to like a different like a map style view. And when it did that, it always would mess up and put you back into the pit. Like so, you just keep falling in like over and over and over again. You could never really reliably find a way to get out, and it just frustrated people. And this was the peak where it just started falling, and people stopped buying games.
I was about 7 years old at the time, and I remember my friend, his older brother, figured out how to fly the right way, because we could never get out of the pit. And like, dude, there's this like little hack. You have to get to the edge of the pit. There was this like little sprite that you'd have to like jump onto, and it was awesome. Like not in it, like awesomely bad. Like it was like crying, laughing,
spectacularly terrible.
Yeah. Anyway.
So if you want to watch that documentary, it looks like they have it on Prime. It says included with, so in the US it's probably free to watch. It is worth the watch. It's actually really well done and fun to watch, and they tell the history of it better than John and I just did, and more accurately, I'm sure. But this is a true story.
Yep.
When we were younger, like it was supposed to be like this myth, and this guy was like, I think I know how to find this, and we're going to go dig it up.
You have to remember, at the time, that movie was huge. It was a massive movie. Everyone loved it.
Yeah,
E.T.
So
they rushed this game to market basically to leverage that, and it was horrible. And the story behind it is kind of interesting, but yeah, there you go.
And you'd think video games would learn from this history and never do this again, and yet every time a major picture comes out that has some kind of that would make a fun game, they do it again and again and just keep putting out these terrible games that loosely tie into movies or vice versa. We saw the Minecraft movie last week.
Yep.
Set your expectations low and enjoy it.
I know.
It is an enjoyable movie, but you have to go in like thinking like, first of all, know a little bit about Minecraft. You don't have to like know every Easter egg, but just know a little bit. Like if you're taking parents or grandparents with you or something, it's entertaining, but remember, it is a movie based on a video game. These are rarely good. Like, rarely good. I think the Mario movie was probably like one of the really good ones. And
Sure.
maybe the first Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's a stretch. But I'm enjoying the TikToks that the kids like. I really
It's a
like the
stretch.
kids. I like the kids of this generation. They're having fun, and they're not like this at every concert they go to. Like they're actually having a good experience. So unfortunately, they're causing some problems for the people who maintain the cinemas. But I've been laughing at some of
Yeah.
the chicken jockey responses by the crowd. So.
Did so this is did I ever tell you the Mortal Kombat movie story? Like it was a real thing that happened. It's not crazy or anything, but
or two, because two is
the
horrific.
original, the absolute original one, not the remake, not the second. They've
Yeah.
made 3 of these, by the way. I think
Yeah.
3
I'm
or
talking,
4.
yeah. I stopped after two.
The
I was like, I'm done.
first one.
Yes.
So back, I'm going to take you back in time, 1990s. Mortal Kombat's huge, and the commercials that they showed on TV had kids screaming at the top of their lungs in the streets, Mortal Kombat, like really loud, throw their hands in the
remember.
air, right? You remember
Yep.
that commercial?
I do.
All right. So this is like fresh, like stuff that's out in the ether, and it's on every TV. And the movie comes out, and me and my friends are psyched to go see this, like any other teenager would be.
Sure.
And we're there on opening night, and we've got our, we just parked the car, and we're getting ready to walk to the movie theater. And when you go to this theater, like you have to walk by the exits to get to the entrance.
So you see everyone's
we're-
reaction coming out.
Yeah, so the previous movie is letting out, and we're headed to the front doors, and we're like super psyched. We're like, gonna go see Mortal Kombat. This is awesome. And some kid boot kicks the doors open, like they're those push bar doors. He
Yeah.
boot kicks it like solid kick. So we hear the doors just crack open, bam, and he screams, "Oh, man." And like my friends and I all like looked at each other. We're like, yes, it's awesome. It was so amazing, but you had to be there. Like the movie wasn't really that good. I don't think it was that good, but
Nope.
the fact that we saw it after that live that day, like in that moment in time, best movie ever. Like not ever, but it was awesome. Like definitely not Minecraft. Like Minecraft didn't live up to that hype. There
No, of
was
course
the
not.
chicken jockey thing. Maybe some kid will have a different story they'll tell in 30 years.
Oh
where
no.
they're
They're
like,
having.
it was
They're just
awesome.
having fun. They're just having fun.
We threw popcorn everywhere because chicken jockey, and it was the best movie of all time. And then you watch it again, you're like, it's painful to finish, but it was fun when it existed.
There you go.
That was my Mortal Kombat story. I can still call up my friend today and be like, and he's like, dude, that movie was awesome. That kid kicked that door open. It was so cool. Like we all remember that moment. It's like burned in our memories.
Younger viewers of this are obviously thinking, God, you guys lived like horrific lives. Like these games and these movies sounded awful. And
They're
yes,
like, what?
they were terrible. We
This
didn't have
was-
phones.
this was,
We didn't have the internet. We didn't have anything. You go outside and play. That was all you did, So
They're like, this was before the internet. How did you even
Well
find the
before.
theater?
the
I didn't
newspaper.
even know it was showing.
They would print stuff on paper with ink.
How
and
did
they
you
would
not
tell
get
you that-
lost?
I know.
Oh man. All right. Old man story time is over. So, but yeah, I agree. Like this whole crossover space between video games and movies is is shaky ground. We shouldn't experiment with again, but we seem to keep repeating these mistakes.
I love
But
the lore.
that's all. That's all I've got. Speaking of movies, one last segue. I will be at Star Trek next week.
Oh, there you go.
An amazing conference. If you're in Columbus, Ohio, stop by, say hello. I will be there as an attendee. Let's pull it up on screen real quick. Correct. Spelling is terrible today. Lord, glad y'all didn't see that. Star Trek is an awesome conference in Columbus, Ohio. Why I said this is a great segue from movies is because even though this is a developer conference, it revolves around the love of movies. It is in the movie theater. All of your favorite speakers are in front of the podium at the big screen in the theater giving their presentation. Giant slides up on the big screen. You can lay back in the nice recliners there and enjoy some technical content for about 6 hours of the day. And then at night, we get to watch the latest Marvel movie, which is the Thunderbolts. So there is nothing more fun than going to a conference and then watching a movie with a bunch of people of like-minded nerdery. So
Sure.
it's a lot
Well,
of fun.
this
We
is
get all the
mainstream
references
nerd.
in the movies.
I have a problem with this. I'll tell you why. This is mainstream nerd. This isn't like nuanced niche nerd. Nuanced niche nerd is let's find a really bad movie like Time Bandits or Alan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold, and let's watch that and throw popcorn at the screen because it's so horrifically bad. They watch popular Hollywood produced movies that everyone can enjoy. That's not the real zhuzh, the real high point, I think, for these nerd fests are getting really bad. Yes, Time Bandits is bad. Sorry, I watched it as a kid, 1984. It's a horrific movie, but it's got some good one-liners. There you go. That's what you got to do.
I can't believe this is next week.
There you
It's
go.
always a good time. And when it was showing, what's the name of that movie? Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a
Mainstream.
scene. Yeah,
Mainstream.
there is. But here's the thing, John. There is a scene where he has the Microsoft Zune.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
Yes, the brown
This
one.
was,
Yes, I remember.
yeah, he has the Zune. The entire theater was just in tears laughing. Like,
Sure.
no other experience you're gonna get like that, where everybody knows what the Zune is, and they're all like hysterically laughing because they know what the Zune is. I bet your parents don't know what the Zune is, and half the other people that watched that movie did not get that little inside joke of like he busts out the Zune.
I got it. And I live for those moments in movies. So, for example, and this is my last thing I'll say, War of the Worlds remake with Tom Cruise. There's a
Yes.
scene where he's making peanut butter sandwiches for his kids. They've just survived the attack. He turns around and throws a peanut butter sandwich at the window, and the sandwich sticks to the window. The whole movie, he's gone through this traumatic experience, and he does that because his daughter says, "I'm allergic to peanuts." Blah blah blah. He's like, "Fine." He throws it. You can find this on YouTube. I am dying laughing because the sandwich is stuck up on the window. It's the funny. I start laughing, and then everyone started because everyone's thinking the same thing. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is hilarious. It's the one thing I remember about the whole movie. Totally serious moment, funny situation. This is what nerd cons and movies should show. These bad, horrific sort of scenes. So,
If you give me long enough, I can recite the first like 3 paragraphs of War of the Worlds. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. I love any movie, almost any movie that remakes it.
Go look at that scene on YouTube. It's hilarious. Like I am dying laughing in the movie, and then everyone else starts laughing. It's the funniest scene ever. So,
with infinite complacency,
yes,
man went to and fro throughout their daily lives. Should I keep going?
No, I think we've done.
Anyway, the AI is out of context, so we're gonna have to end the show. But it was fun, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks after the week after Star Trek. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.